Hello everyone, my name is Ngan. I'm a lecturer of English at the University of Languages and International Studies, VNU, Vietnam. My presentation today titled Learner Initiatives and English Language Classroom Discourse. So there are 5 parts in my presentation, as you can see on the slide. Let's firstly start with the introduction. So classroom discourse has always been a widely discussed topic among educators and linguists. Delamont and Hamilton, as cited in Ho 2005, see classroom discourse as a complicated social phenomenon involving the interactions of different participants in the classroom, while House, as cited in Washington Lee 2013, emphasizes the goal-oriented nature of classroom conversation, as its main purpose is to optimize learning. One of the key concepts in language in classroom discourse research is the IRF sequence, meaning teacher initiative, students response, and teacher follow-up, by Sinclair and Cotard, as cited in Waring 2008. However, most studies on the IRF sequence adopt a teacher-centered approach because they focus mainly on either the initiative move or the follow-up move, reflecting a complete disregard for students' R move as well as students' initiative in learning. So in an attempt to provide a comprehensive view of both teachers and students' contribution in classroom interaction, my research will focus on the authentic data taken from a specific English language classroom context and examine the ways in which the language and interaction patterns in the data reveal assumptions about the quality of teaching and learning in the chosen classroom. So let's move on with the literature review. So as you can see on the screen, here's my table of comparison. As claimed by Walsh 2006, the first step to understanding the interactive process in the L2 classroom is to be able to describe them. Hence, choosing a suitable coding system plays an important role in classroom discourse analysis. So in this section, 3 approaches that can be adopted for analyzing classroom interaction, namely interaction analysis, discourse analysis, and conversation analysis, are critically reviewed in terms of their merits and limitation. First is the interaction analysis approach. Among all the 3 approaches, interaction analysis is the first method used by researchers when studying classroom discourse. Advocates of this approach are behaviorists who observe the lesson and make use of coding system in order to record what they believe to be happening in a language classroom, according to Walsh 2006. Adopting interaction analysis approach, many researchers use system-based observation instrument for their study on classroom interaction. Highly structured coding system like this provide users with the convenience of ready-made framework and also enable comparisons among different contexts to be made. However, the interaction analysis approach may fail to reflect the complexity and dynamics of classroom interaction and the uniqueness of each teaching context, as all the patterns must belong to a single set of predetermined categories, according to Walsh 2006. The second one is discourse analysis approach. This is the most commonly used approach to language classroom conversation. Guided by the structural functional linguistics, the approach focuses on analyzing classroom data based on their structural pattern and function. And one of the most well-known models adopting discourse analysis approach must be Sinclair and Cotard's IRF exchange, serving as an effective model for understanding classroom discourse with 3 elements: initiation, the question, response, the answer, and follow-up, the feedback. And as claimed by Lee 2013, the IRF exchange is considered the most extensive research pattern of teacher-student interaction, with the majority of studies discussing the initiation and feedback move. The last one is conversation analysis approach. So as mentioned above, most studies are too teacher-centered when devoting all their attention to teachers' initiation and follow-up moves, whereas students' response is almost completely ignored. Taking conversation analysis approach, Waring 2011 develops an empirically based typology of learning initiative to explore students' R move and even student-initiated exchange in the classroom. So as for conversation analysis approach, it is an effective analytical tool for classroom discourse research. It provides a powerful microscopic view on how mutual understanding between participants is achieved, turn by turn, according to Lee 2013, and how interaction is shaped by context, according to Walsh 2006. And moreover, the conversation analysis does not impose a fixed set of structural or function categories, so its product is an interpretation based on the collected data, which can reveal the complex nature of classroom discourse. So in my analysis, I choose to apply the conversation analytical framework in the chosen classroom context in order to capture all the interactional patterns and investigate their impact on the opportunities for students' participation, or in other words, the learning opportunities. Let's move on to the next part, the research method. The collected data is a transcribed 3-minute teacher-student exchange in Tom Madigan's classroom. The video is taken from YouTube and is transcribed using a simplified version of Jefferson's notation system. Although the video does not reflect a comprehensive view of this particular classroom context, I can give you a brief description including the teacher, students, and the classroom setting based on the visual and textual data given. So let's start with the teacher. Tom, who teaches the lesson and also uploads the video on his YouTube channel, seems to have a strong American accent, so he may be an English native speaker. His full name is written on the board, suggesting that students might not know his name, perhaps because he's a new teacher. He's not very formally dressed, so the institution probably does not request a formal dress code. During this short segments of the lesson, he focuses on the use of so and such. After introducing the two adverbs and explaining their differences, Tom now asks students to do the controlled practice, possibly to check the understanding. He appears to follow a lesson plan or teaching material, as he often stops to look at the yellow sheet of paper he's holding on his hand. And regarding his teaching style, Tom seemingly likes making use of funny drawings and humorous comments to engage students. The camera only captures Tom and the board behind him, which reveals limited information about his students in the classroom setting. Based on their voice and accent, I think Tom's students are adult learners who may speak different L1. Other videos from Tom's YouTube channel reveals that he teaches ESL at an adult language school in LA, USA. So this lesson probably takes place there. As written on the board, it's an ESL class. So perhaps the learner are LA-based immigrants learning general English. And besides, all the examples reflect daily life spoken language. So it should be general English, not academic one. And they are both males and females attending the class. Though it's difficult to tell the exact number of students who are present, there should be at least 7 students in the class, as 7 of them speak up during the lesson. As seen in the title of the video, so and such, intermediate-advanced, level 4-5, it may be a mixed ability class in which students' level vary from intermediate to upper intermediate and advanced. Although I think the grammatical items, so and such, are rather simple for advanced learners. Some students raise their hands to ask questions, while some speak up without teacher's permission, indicating that there is no strict turn-taking rule So overall, it appears to be a fun and engaging lesson with lots of laughter, when teachers often make jokes and students actively raise questions and contribute to the lesson. So the next part of my presentation provides a critical evaluation of the quality of teaching and learning in the given context. The discussion aims to study the way in which classroom interaction offer or take away learning opportunities by comparing teacher-initiated and student-initiated talk. Let's start with teacher-initiated sequence.
He's so happy. What does this mean? He's really happy. Good. Let's get a different color.
So Tom often initiates the IRF sequence with display questions, perhaps in order to check student understanding of the newly introduced grammatical items. So as such, he probably attempts to grab the attention of the whole class. So he does not nominate any individual learner. As suggested by Van Liu 1986, this technique theoretically can be helpful in making everyone think and try to seek the answers where no one is forced to answer. And his display questions may also provide scaffolding to students' questions in the later part, because they all ask questions using such.
This is me in the morning. When the alarm clock goes off, this is me.
What time do you do that?
About 10:30.
In addition, Tom's follow-up, the comment and elaboration similarly succeed in turning such a dry topic as grammar into an enjoyable lesson for his students as they laugh and appears to appreciate his sense of humor. However, Tom's talk is not entirely unproblematic.
Such angry man.
He's such an angry man.
He's such.
No.
Oh. An angry man.
His question previously, as you can see, direct to all students who then give simultaneous yet unintelligible answers. Hence, it's not a very effective questioning technique. The ineffectiveness of those questions become clear when student 3, this student, used the wrong form of such. Fortunately, this student and also the others raised their voice and received the teacher's correction that there may be other students in the class who do not speak up despite their lack of understanding of the new form. According to Roaring 2008, teachers need to be cautious in dealing with students' response because what is unproblematic for one student may be problematic for others. The students who say the answer out loud are probably the minority of the class, not to mention the fact that their answers are unclear and elliptic. Yet Tom does not provide any further explanation, treating students' response as correct, which would trigger the positive assessment. That's still the case. Waring also suggests that it would be more beneficial to students if teachers does not take correct responses for granted, but sees them as potentially problem answers in order to unleash learning opportunities. So in this situation, Tom can extend his F moves to give further clarification or initiate a new sequence for concept checking.
Yes, it is.
What does this mean?
He's such a man. Women like to say this a lot.
It is.
Oh, he's such a man. All he wants to do is eat and sleep. He's such a man. Or you could say he's such a, let's use another noun. Pig. He's such a pig. He's such a jerk. Right?
Besides, Tom sometimes provides long and monologic turn, which is typical of teacher talk in the classroom. So in this turn, he provides comments and elaborations, but on his own talk rather than on student response. And most of his F moves are evaluative, not discursal. The lack of responsiveness in Tom's solo-ops can hinder the development of a communicative classroom dialogue between the teacher and the class, according to Cullen 2002. Though his comments can help to provide students with language input, but students also need the opportunities to produce their own meaningful output. So as suggested by Darn 2014, teachers should personalize questions where possible to promote learning. So for example, Tom can ask students some questions based on these examples. Moving on to the next part, student-initiated sequence.
What's that?
He starts with me.
He's such what?
With
With
me.
him.
I don't understand.
He starts with me. Can I say that?
I don't think so. I don't understand what you're saying.
He tried to say he's angry with him, no?
Okay, he's so angry with me.
Yeah.
That's what you would say. That's a good question.
So what makes this teacher-student interaction different from traditional IRF sequence are the size of learner initiatives. According to Waring 2011, students' initiative is defined as their attempt to make an uninvited contribution to classroom conversation. Hence, they are no longer passive respondents. Instead, they actively increase their participation in the classroom discourse and get access to various learning opportunities. So here they produced repair-driven negotiations that allow students to pursue a better understanding of the target knowledge and skill. So there are some students during the lesson, in order to seek understanding of the use of such, they initiate, but they may have some trouble expressing themselves clearly. And here in this case, the student needs to receive peer scaffolding and reformulate his eye move, which enables this student to gain more comprehensive input and then produce the modified language input. And secondly, students can also become more autonomous towards their English language learning. Students can prove their ownership of their own language learning process by taking the active role in contributing in the lesson. Although the students' initiative moves bring a number of learning opportunities in the classroom as mentioned above, time responses should be adjusted accordingly to maximize teaching and learning efficiency. So as you can see previously, when replying to a student who is obviously struggling with the use of such, Tom shows sign of impatience. Despite his compliment on students' questions, the student may still feel offended by his words, where other students can somehow be demotivated and they may hesitate to ask him questions. So Tom should be more generous with his words to avoid hurting students' feelings or dampening their enthusiasm for learning. So that's all about the data. So the chosen classroom interaction shows the rise of learners' initiation moves in the IRF sequence, which partially neutralizes the asymmetrical characteristics of typical teacher-student exchange and strive towards symmetry for better learning. It is not an easy task to immediately attune students' needs as they unexpectedly arise in the classroom, but teacher Tom still manages to give corrective response to questions of individual students and at the same time involves the whole class in the learning process. And here is the list of reference. Thank you very much for listening.